Welcome everyone to this Force Friday. So as you know, we've been playing with different time durations of models, kind of going to the traditional aspect of what would happen in a figure drawing class and ramping that up. We're almost doubling, right? So we started off with 30-second poses. We went over to 1-minute poses. We did some 2s last week, and now we're working on 5s, right? 5's a very common number. 2 is a very common number as well. And, you know, I'm doing this with the hopes that you all get a sense of what are some good benchmarks and things to be aware of or to try to accomplish in those timeframes, right? You know, I think I mentioned before, sometimes I'll have somebody I'm mentoring and they'll come in with a drawing, and my assumption looking at it is, oh, that's a 2-minute drawing, but they've actually taken like 10 minutes or 15 minutes on it. And it's usually about eating up time with indecision than it is to just purely act and draw and act and draw. And of course, that indecision will decrease over time because you'll know what to do. And with knowing what to do, man, you can move a lot faster, right? So knowing is really, really, really important, right? So, so let's say hello to Mattesi real quick. How you doing, Mattesi?
Hi,
Minute
awesome.
It's usually about eating up time within the.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty cold in here.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So no. Say what?
How are you doing?
Good. Yes. Yeah. 5 minutes is to me. 5 minutes is like really comfortable. Really, really comfortable spot. I feel like I have time to think and draw, and pretty easy time limit. You know. So yeah, one of my teachers in school, a guy named John Ruggieri, man, 5s and 7s were pretty much the zones that we lived in, and I did that for like 3 years. So this is like, you know, returning home. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, man, really casual, you know, easy. So no Swenley today, guys. Swenley is celebrating his birthday, so yeah, so he's going to be off doing that while Mattesi and I hopefully entertain the rest of you today, and you know, inspire you at the same time. As always, you know, please feel free to write into the chat. Let's get over to Photoshop. Oh, and I wanted to say again, you know, please remember that if you like what we're doing here, of course, subscribe, and if you hit the bell, right, the bell will give you the push notification, so then you don't have to worry about missing any of these Force Fridays. So, you know, like I said, please hit the subscribe button, and if you want to stay notified, hit the bell, which will help you get notified by us. So, so with that, let's head over to Photoshop. Back here. Okay, so let's head over to Photoshop, and let's get some drawings on here. Okay, so Mattesi, why don't you know what, I can time myself on this now that it's 5s. It's not so fast. So I'll just keep track of the time here in the corner of my eye while I'm working. And then this way you could just really focus on the chat.
Yep, sure.
Let's see, timer. I put it on a timer here. 5. This way to go off. Get myself set up here. So here's my first model. Get myself a layer to draw with. So, you know, as I said in the past, feel free to draw with me, right? 5 minutes, we've got a little bit more time, so you can go back and forth and check and see what I'm doing, right? Or your other option is you just watch me draw, and then I'll probably talk about the drawing a little bit after I'm finished with it and the decisions and stuff that happened or what went into it. And that's a time that you can draw, right? So try either one or both of those out today. Let's see, this is all set up. Let's get this set up to full screen. Let's get it nice and big as possible here. Okay. All right, brush. Looks good. All right, here we go. 5 minutes. So torso first, right? I want to push into the torso. Leading edge to me is the shoulder, right? So I want to push into that leading edge. I'm kind of coming, you know, I'm coming down the back. I want to feel that curve of the back, and that'll have me sort of re-swipe in here. And as I do that, I just realize, this angle is pretty strong. It's even more vertical than I first anticipated. Then I want to get this pushing out of his rib cage here. And you can see I'm pushing those lines in here. It's me thinking about his anatomy pulling in there, right? Hard to tell if this is a C or an S. It's mostly a C. I could see some pulling going around over here. It's pretty straight here in the lower back, so primarily a C. Might be a subtle CS torso, right? But I would say I'm gonna allow this in there. I think that's kind of important. It gives me some form and roundness in there. If I were working with shape, I'd say here's my straight, but his arm is covering all that, right? So his arm's like over here and coming all the way down past his lower back. Right? So that's kind of interesting. My brain didn't want to initially do that. I was going to stop up here somewhere, and I'm like, oh, it's lower than I thought. Right? I don't want to get too involved in the arms right now, so let's stop there. I really went further than I think I normally would. With the rear end, very important to pay attention to shape, like I am over here. His rear end, I started pushing it too far to the right. I want to bring this in to get this shape right. I'm going to see this shape right here. I love this leg. I love how the rear end and the hamstrings are like pulling. Right? I'm literally drawing for you my thinking. Like I'm bringing forth the invisible, making it visible, so you can see my thought process there. But I know that it's the front of the thigh that I want. Right? That's where all the power is. Right? And it's not too far below this, right? So I got to watch that. It's pretty short. That distance is pretty short. I want to make it longer. My brain wants to make that longer. I'm like, oh, not that far away. Really not that far. So we've got all this beautiful pulling coming from the hamstring. It's like this great twisting that's going on. I'll do it really heavy-handed so you can see. I see that. You see? I like that idea in there. I like how that's pulling. You can see his kneecap under that stress of pulling, and his tendons here are pulling. Right? And then we're going to come down the leg. So if you guys know force, you'd be like, well, what is that? Is that outside, inside, outside? I think I might just say this is a front to front. I'm just going to go down this whole arc basically and like land his foot down here. Kind of crazy amount of weird tension in this leg and a lot of perspective, right? A lot of down the rabbit hole. Right? This leg, I'm going to come from the front and go to the back. It's a tough call, right? Here's my other option. So front to back, or let's see, time-wise, I'm about halfway done. So I can go front to back. That's one way to do this. The other way would be to do outside, inside, outside. Let's try it out. Right? Go like this and hit this inside knee. I want to watch the angle from one knee to another. So I'm kind of looking at this negative space right here. Yeah, this could work too. It's tricky because we're looking at a 3/4 back view. So it's like, do I want to grab the front of the leg and pull it down to the edge? I have to say, if I were going for shape, right, this feels like it's my straight. Right, and I would push the curve in there. So let's do that. I'm going to go this way. Right, pull this over a little bit. I want the angle of the feet to land in here if I can make it. So that looks like it's pretty darn close. So this is going to sweep into the ankle. And then I've got the ball of the foot here. Right? So something like this. A little large. You can see, I'm taking my time here. The next one, maybe I'll do this one more time and I won't talk as much, but I'm showing you, here's all the thoughts going for this. So spine to back of the head. The spine, of course, goes here to the center, but I like this flow to the side of his head. It feels like there's all this weight of his head is like hanging out there, right? All this gravity has to pull down on it. I want to be aware of that. Now connecting the spine to the neck a little bit more. There's ear over here. There's like ponytail over here. Right? You have his other arm. And other hand. The shape of his arm. Get the shape of this arm. I can quickly shake out the rest of this. I didn't start from shape on this one. You can see I really started with just getting the forces and some form involved. Now I can do that. So there you go. There's the timer. Okay. So pretty finished. Can get definitely way more work done than this because of me I was going at a very slow pace and just kind of moving through this and trying to describe to you guys what I was doing. So let's try this again. I'm gonna try to talk less and put in more effort. So again, feel free to follow along with me. let's see what I want to do here. Last time I didn't do this. I want to save this one. Let's just shrink it down. And then let's do a new layer. Pretty good. All right, brush. There we go. Push that shoulder. I'm looking at the shape, which is why I'm adjusting this one. I'm going to go through the same process. Arms are typically the elbow side. Right, so you can see what I'm doing there. I'll finish the hands off in a little bit. I want to get this nice S going on in here again. Hamstring comes out from behind this pole. Stick with this hand. Get a knee angle going on. So we're going to chat about other things while I'm doing this. What's been going on? What have I been watching? I don't know if you guys have seen on Netflix, they have this thing on, what's it called? The Movies That Made Us, right? Awesome documentaries, I have to say. You guys are all probably younger than I am, but those are really movies that helped make me. You know, it's like Alien and Jurassic Park, and some of the horror films are on there, like Halloween, Jaws, not Jaws. Jaws is another documentary. But if you're into film, it's a great documentary. It really goes into the background of how these films were made and all of the challenges that they had, I guess. The Jurassic Park one was very interesting because Jurassic Park really, it really started the 3D revolution. You know, so the first time there was really successful 3D in a film with the dinosaurs, that just really blowed away the audience, including me. I remember seeing Jurassic Park and being kind of shocked by the realism of it. You know, the first time you see that brontosaurus at the beginning, it was just amazing, just breathtaking. I was totally shocked, quite frankly, about just how good it was. You know? And they talk about that. It took a rebel, you know, it took a rebel 3D guy at ILM, or Industrial Light and Magic, to make that happen. And him going against his boss, and doing that, and getting the producer Kathleen Kennedy to see the potential of 3D, because they were going to go with stop motion for the film. Right? So yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Somebody breaking the rules and stepping out of bounds, just like us guys with Force, doing something very different than, I would say, the usual figure drawing process. You know?
Amazed me like more is I mean, they didn't just use CG for like the full film, you know, they just like use animatronics and like the dinosaur sculptures, and and they just like blended CG very seamlessly to it, which has like more natural look to it. That's what I like most about it.
Yeah, they kept, because it started as a 2D, as a physical props, in camera effects. They kept Tippett on, Phil Tippett, who's one of the world's most famous stop motion guys. Somebody who I've actually met him at a convention that I was one of the guest speakers at in Dallas, and he was going to be animating this stuff. Tippett's world renowned. I mean, he's the guy who did the oh man, I'm blanking on the name of the Tauntauns in like Empire Strikes Back, and the AT-AT walkers, right? That's, you know, this guy's done some stuff that's changed our lives. And all of a sudden he said, he's like, I feel extinct because of this. But in the end, he ended up becoming like a consultant for how the stuff should actually move from an animation standpoint. And to Matunja's point, they used a lot of practical effects, meaning like in-camera real effects. You know, they had an actual full-size T-Rex that they built out of clay. They sculpted out of clay that they then turned into, you know, they took molds of and created into this creature, right? Time's up. So, you know, pretty amazing, right? That they did that. Let's see. Any notes? I'm also on the iPad. I love how I can watch 4 basic videos from the website and then come over here for my practice. Yeah, that's awesome. Which Cintiq size? So I'm just on I'm on a very old Cintiq actually. I'm on a 21 UX, so 21 inches on the diagonal. So pretty old. Now I think the generic size is 24, and then I think they have something like a 30 or a 32 or something like that. Right? So there's 2 drawings. You can see if I look at the photograph of my drawing, I pushed him more. I have this habit then of taking that angle and I push the shoulder further to the right than actually is. Right? Let's take a look at the first one versus this one. Let's see how we did. They're both almost equally pushed actually. Right? Let's see a little bit more information came into this one. A little bit more clarity, and it got darker faster because I knew what I was doing. Yeah, a little bit more info. All right, let's see. Let's go on to another image. I'm going to change my audio here too, so you guys can hear me better. Okay, there we go. Let's move over here. Let's go into our next pose. Again, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, you know, feel free to ask. Matunja can surface them to me while I'm drawing, so I know that you're having some thoughts or some questions. Okay, so here's another pose. Let's get my timer going here. Okay, so here, you know, for me, the first thing that always happens in every pose is there's a direction, right? So to me, this is the direction, right? I want to go back and, you know, up to the left, right? And that's the main idea, right? It's the main idea of the pose. And then all this other stuff starts to come out of that, right? So I want this to all push into the shoulder, basically. It's going to shoot out of his arm, right? He's got very tight perspective going on here. So I've got to watch that. Notice his chest is all the way over here, the center of his sternum. Look how little that negative space is, which means the turning edge of his body is like all the way over here, and his rib cage is like this. You see? So that's an easy thing to miss. Very, very easy to miss that. You know, and you want to be aware of it. So I always use, like I said, the shape tactic to help me, right? All right, so this comes down and around. I'm going to get like the shape of his torso, right? And you can see here's like the roundness of it. I'm showing you my thinking again on this one. At the very end, it starts to go down. You could see the wrinkle in his stomach right here, right? It's like, oh, that's interesting. So there's a change in perspective from here down to here, right? Like so. And we want to make sure we have that in our drawing, right? So his stomach is, his belly button is like here, right? And then his leg is going to come out like this. So I draw the force of it, and then I'm drawing the shape of it, right? I can kind of measure that up against here and go, that leg's supposed to be longer, right? I have to get that further out there, pretty far out actually, right? This angle's a little off, like, you know, I'm seeing the shapes, so that's starting to help, you know, get this accurate. I want to push this part in a little bit more, right? This isn't bad. The shape between here and here is looking pretty good. This leg, 2 ways to go with this leg, so I'm going to try them both out. Shrink this a little. One is outside, inside, outside. The other one's front to back, right? So let's see. I'm going to try a front to back. My gut is out and out, but I'm going to try it out. I have a feeling that I might be able to make this work. That it feels like more of the energy is coming from here. I want to pay attention to this angle I'm setting up, right? Got a huge foot. All of a sudden we go down this leg. We've got this monster foot down there. And then this one, such a weird angle, right? Really want to drive force from the front to the heel. And notice how close it is to the underneath of the leg, right? The hamstring there. We got the strong curve here, which is creating his gastrocnemius muscle, and then a little straight and then into the heel. And then that foot popping out of there. I'm looking at the shapes. I'm looking at the forces. I'm looking at the forceful shapes, all right? Getting some form in there. A lot of the form comes out of the overlap. Some reference of the toes in there. All right, so we have this going this way. His rib cage is here. All right, it's going like this. Making him a little thinner. And I want you, as you can see, I'm making a mess out of this, and that's okay. I'm just trying to figure things out, push him around. I didn't go in with a lot of soft touch, so it's getting dark very fast, unfortunately. Right, next one I'll try to, because it's a tricky pose, I will try to soft touch it more. So here I'm going to kind of plant the hand for myself real quick. It's like right over here somewhere. Notice that his elbow is very close to the armpit. So there's a lot of very strong foreshortening, like early on here, right? That I want to get, right? And you can see his forearm muscle, and this is all within the shape of his body. And then we finally have his hand, which is gigantic, right? Just gigantic. Right, I'm going to get the general shape of the hand. Get this last finger in here. And his head. So I even went over 5 on this, right? Because it's complicated. Okay. Stop. All right, let's try that again. All right, so here's my first pass. I'm going to draw, what I'm going to try on this one is I'm going to draw faster and lighter to get the main idea going. Let's see, let's get to the layers here. So here's my brush. I'm going to lighten this up to, let's say, around 30%, like there. Command Z, tip a timer. All right, here we go. So I'm going to draw, like I said, more quickly, more lightly, get more work done faster. So I can kind of plan, I can plan quicker and not eat up all this time that I did before. I'm just going to throw a lot of thinking down quick. And this, I have to say, this process actually works pretty damn good because you are seeing that big picture. I'm not going piece by piece as much as I did in the first one, right? Getting all the forces down. It's like, where does that knee land? That feels pretty good. This feels pretty good. Negative right there. All right, get this leg in here. I like the front to back on that. I think I'm going to keep that. So I'm a minute in, right? I'm 1 minute in, and I've got pretty much almost the whole pose done outside the head, right? So that's pretty good. All right, so only 1 minute, and we've got almost the whole thing, right? I love that angle on the finger. Like all the force is flowing downward on everything, and then this guy comes in and goes, boom, points in this totally opposite direction of everything else. It's really fun. I'm being kind of fast and loose and sloppy about this, and then I will tighten up. So a good way to work, not only in drawing, but as a job, if drawing is part of your job, to do this first, get all the energy down, right? And then I can find more the nuance later, but I've got the big picture down, right? feel like this. Okay, I'm gonna go a little darker. I'm gonna go up to 50%. I want this chest more narrow there. That makes more sense. All right. I don't want to get too caught up in that hand right now. I want to like clean up in a sense or tighten sort of bigger areas than the smaller stuff first, right? You'll notice I'm like quote unquote cleaning up, but I'm really like redrawing. It's just that I've got the big idea down, but I'm still acting as if I'm drawing this. And to tell you the truth, I think that is the, that's the secret to cleaning up, is to redraw, right? Which I didn't make up. I learned that at Disney Animation. They taught us to understand that, to try and use that thinking. You don't want your cleanup to look like a traced drawing, right? And that's usually the trap that we fall in when cleaning up. Yeah, this feels longer. This is better. Very interesting shape for the calves here. Bulbousy. I love all this movement in the neck, which I haven't even gotten to yet. All right, look at how that S curve happens in there, and how Andy, the model, his the skin, right, the muscle, the sternocleido is twisting around there is really nice, and the skin's pulling around his jaw there, pulling down. It's really cool. All right, I'm just shaping out his arm, getting some anatomy in there. All right, there we go, 5 minutes. Let's get his thumb in there. Okay. All right, let's take a look. I love comparing. Let's see how this turned out compared to the first one. So we got this guy, Command T. See how this guy looks. Pretty similar. His body got maybe a little thicker, but you can see in general, I got to pretty much the same place, right? Which makes sense, obviously, because I'm looking at the same reference, right? I'd say another trap in here that'd be easy to fall into is not getting the scale of the hand and the arm and everything, right? It'd be really easy to make that hand too small or make the head too big, and then like lose the depth, right? So be aware of how much space you're talking about, right? How are we doing on time? Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to hand it over to Matunje. I'll just take probably one pass at this. This is a fun pose. Let's see, we want a new layer. And then I want FF, brush. So I'm gonna try same process here. Here we go. Meaning 30%, I'm gonna go really light. It's almost like a planning stage, really quick. I'm going to show you something after this. I'm going to show you how I was taught by one of my teachers, and See how different it is from this, but I learned a lot from it. But yeah, I learned a lot from it. But it's just funny. I'm thinking back to how fast I'm moving here and how the other process is so different. So let's see. I like the angle on this hip. Nobody actually taught me exactly, obviously, what I'm showing you guys here. This is me saying, look, you could draw like this because look at the speed with which you can work. And for production, you know, for jobs, this what I'm showing you here is great, right? Because you can just think fast, and you know, you might have an art director telling you like, hey, I need X amount of drawings, you know, character designs. I need 20 character designs in the next hour, right? Like, how are you going to do that, right? It sounds like a ridiculous request, but it's possible. You know, it's very possible, right? If you work fast and loose, right, then you can do it. Bend that wrist there. All right, so I have the whole pose down. Let's get more info in here. I'm going to go up to 50%. Something in here, I want to push that stretching. She's got this great facial expression. She's really leaning forward with her eyebrow there. Really fun. Simple shapes. Any questions, Matunje, from the chat?
No, I'm answering them. It's just
Okay.
most discussion going buffs and tweaks and iPads.
Okay. All right, there we go. I'm looking down, right? I want to be aware of the perspective, like the absolute perspective she's in. Something here I think I want to push that I don't feel happy with. I like that her shoulder and her face really feels like it's pushing down. You see that idea? I like this upward push of the shoulder and then pushing this down into the face. And the peak of her face being her eyebrow again. Just love that. All right, there we go. All right. So this to this is what I really liked here. All right, the question hasn't been answered, Matunje. Kevin. When adding the third line, should we add it everywhere or just be in places we want to? When adding the third line, I'm coming into something late here, I guess. I'm not sure what you mean by the third line. You know what that is, Matunje? Is that from an earlier talk?
He's talking about third level of line. Is that?
Oh, the P3 line.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. We're adding the third line. Should we add it everywhere, just in place we want? Yeah, I mean, if Carlos, if you are talking about the P3 line, I would say, yeah, you want to keep trying to push on it with more time, right? Next week, we're going to do tens. Well, I have to see. Next week, we might do a holiday theme thing, but if we don't, we'll be doing 10 minutes. And you could push that P3 line into, into everywhere. With 5 minutes, right now, I'm a little bit more graphic because of the speed that I'm drawing at. Versus going total P3 line, like totally organic. But we could definitely do that. So before I leave and I give this to Mrityunjay, I wanted to share with you, one of the ways I was taught when I was in school was to actually start at the top and work your way down, believe it or not. And it had nothing to do with force or anything. It was just like, it was kind of like this. And you would just, analyze like the contour. But the trick was, what I learned over time, because I took this teacher for many years, 3 years of this, was it wasn't about the contour per se. It was recognizing that you're making an entire shape, right? Like her hair, for instance, is an entire shape. You see, there's the shape of the hair, right? So, and talking about the P3 line, you get P3 line out of this, you got texture of line out of this. And you can get a pretty darn accurate looking drawing, right? But the interesting part is, think about the risk I'm taking here. I have no idea on if I'm going to be successful or not at the end of the 5 minutes, right? Because I'm working like I'm crawling like a scanner, basically, down the drawing, right? Down the drawing. And yeah, it's risky, and you learn, of course, to get really good at doing this and seeing every little measurement and so on and so on, but very, very risky. So kind of the opposite of what I'm doing with you today. Did it help me? Heck yeah, it helped me. Like it helped me see very clearly, see shapes very clearly. I just don't teach this like this now. I try to teach you guys more from work fast and sloppy to, tighter, so you get more of the big picture stuff done fast, right? That you get it done quickly. Where this is more of just learning how to see. This was a great education for me on me training my eyes, right? Like it was very, very good for that, right? So anyway, I just wanted you to see the difference. Here's a totally different approach. Accomplishes different things. Things of still importance, I would say. It's not like they're not important, right? Like, look, I'm looking at where the armpit is against the chin, and where I looked here as to where the shoulder came out of the nose. I'm paying attention to these shapes as I'm drawing, right? But at the same time, I have no idea if I'm going to be successful with the force of this, right? I don't know if I'm going to get the whole body's rhythms because I'm not thinking like that at all. I'm just kind of crawling my way down. So very high risk. It's fun. I have to say, in a way, the risk is fun. And it's fun to get into all those details. It's like a totally hedonistic thing to go through, but I don't get the pleasure of moving around anymore, and I don't get the pleasure of seeing the big picture and really trying to understand the thing from head to toe, right? Okay, Mrityunjay, I'm going to hand this over to you. I think I already gave you control, so I think you can grab it whenever you're ready.
Okay. No, I actually didn't give the power to the second.
Okay, hold on a sec. Let's see here, co-host. Okay, try now.
Yeah, no, I can.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's start. This is the first pose, for today. We like that one. Sometimes, poses are just like simple, but dynamic at the same time. I know there's like something in this one also, kind of like that, which I really like. Okay, so we'll start. I have my phone here, so I'll start the timer and let's keep going. Okay. All right, so I can relax a little bit today. It's like 5 minutes. Now, again, the idea is to get the big picture first. I would be taking like more of a hierarchical approach. Mike's approach was a little bit direct, so you can basically see like the two like things going on, right? So yeah, I'll be just taking that big picture approach first, blocking the whole body down, and let's try to draw it again. So let's see something like this, okay? What he's doing, right? He's trying to lean forward like this way. Okay, he's doing that. One of the things that I feel really observe, like me drawing today, really slowly, that I'm not shy of drawing lines, okay? As many lines as I want, and as many lines as I think I'll need to, make it a better drawing, I would say, right? There's really leaning forward this way. As you can see, like I'm just like pushing this way, keeping on pushing that way. This leg is coming forward, right? Because he's wearing this like clothing, so that is telling me, okay, this leg is coming forward this way, and this leg is like going backward this way, like that. So putting in some form, like that. Now what he's doing, right? The head and the neck is a different story, so let's try to get the legs first, okay, to make him balance. For this leg, I would go an outside, inside, outside, like that. For this leg, I would still go an outside, inside, outside, you know. And it's pretty stretched, right? As you can see, the leg is like pretty stretched apart, like that. So yeah, something like that's happening now. I can just say, whoa, the neck is something like this. I can make it a little bit bigger, as you can say, something like that, right? So I got the idea of the pose down. So what I'm gonna do is and what it is, I'm almost at 3 minutes now, right? I'll try to get it like complete very very soon. So let's see. So I'm just gonna push this, right? That's the leading edge of the pose. Um, I'll try to get in some like details in here. Obviously, it's like 5 minute drawing, so get the chest going on in there. Right? And some detail. He's looking down like that. I'm just gonna get some face done. Let's see. The shoulder, like pretty important. I can get some hands done right in that time. But let's talk about a little bit more of these details. Let's try to get in some clothing in there. Clothing is important, right? Because it's giving us form. So that's one of like the main ideas right there. I can get this like feet done. I just want to stay like more gestural. So I'm just like doing that. Let's see. Some form in there. This leg is going back. I just want to get the hands, really cool hands, by the way. Really cool hand gestures. Just want to get some hands done. Really in there, and this is like coming towards it, like that. He's grabbing, right? His one hand with the other. Okay, how much time? Okay, I have about a minute left. So let's see. Now I can relax even more, because now there's like more time to do some details. So maybe some collarbones right there. I just can like polish it up a little bit more. Okay. Uh, Maybe try to grab that foot, which I just kind of missed right there. Very, very simple. I'm just trying to keep it like simple, even though I had like some time left, I'm not just gonna complete like this shape or this shape. I just like want to stay more contrasty a bit. That's like the choice, you can make your choice. It's
That's
like
the
no,
timer.
that's it. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So that's first. Let's do a second pass on this one, right? Um, let's wanna like get it. I mean, yeah, I learned some things. I could have like more details around the focal point. Uh, so let's get a second pass on this one. Okay, I'm just gonna start the timer again. Making the brush bigger. Okay. This time I'll be a little bit quicker, so I just like need more time to see the details. I'm just hitting the leading edge, at the moment as I'm like coming towards it. I'm not gonna spend like, uh, yeah, like coming back to it. I don't want to come back this time. So I'll do it like everything at the moment. Let's see this one. Right. I'm just like making sure I hold the big picture idea behind it. Like that. He's looking down, right? So I want this like head direction in there. I'll try to get this hand first. He's grabbing. Really cool gesture of the hand, by the way. You see, and just like some simple lines, really do a lot of something like this. Pick some hands right there, getting this chest, the edge of the chest right there. Okay, and maybe the shoulder a little bit. All right. So I get that grabbing, right? Read that grabbing. Now it's time. Maybe I can put the belly button in here, right? That's a very important landmark. Just getting this done, this done. And once you understand, once you actually learn your pose, this is what I would call learning a pose. Like you don't need like reference all the time, like where to flow. So just directly go something like that. I'm pretty much happy with this one, more rather than the first one here. Like grabbing this foot, trying to draw that. How much time do I have? About like 3 minutes now. All right, what else? Now let's try to do some like knee details or something like that, right? So I can show that this leg is like more stretched apart. Right there. I can put some details in here as well. See, I'm just like grabbing that leg, and doing some muscles on top of that. Right there. This is a very like sturdy. Yeah, this is like very sturdy. Yeah, I can call it sturdy, right? Sturdy
Yeah,
leg.
dirty,
Round.
definitely.
Okay. It's the form in here as well, right? There's some sculpting going on a little bit. There's sculpting right in there. We can get to the face as well. Okay, a little bit. A little bit of face. It's got that trained up as this bun. He's like looking very intensely over that. Whatever the thing is. He's got the mustache in there. I have to like make the brush like really small at this point. Something like that. I'm just trying to think like what else important, I can actually add to this. I think the edge of the torso would be good, right? Something like that. Uh, if I want to present some form, what I would do is something like this. About a minute left.
Yep, that's right. A little bit of a minute.
And just like me, or like this, like drawing this pose is like more slow, versus time. I can just polish it up more and more and more.
No.
Let's get this fun going on. What else? Maybe a head a little bit smaller, I would say. Something like that. Like really hitting in here, see? So getting this hit. Maybe I try to get the form of the arm, and that's it. Got time. Right. Yeah, you can see a lot of information,
So Raul asks, why is the head so small?
Say what?
Raul asks you, why is the head so small?
Yeah, that's a mistake, because I was like zooming in, so I lose the sense of scale in there, right?
Ah, so
Uh,
great point, right? Because you're zooming in.
yeah,
So, being careful of that. Uh, Matunja is on an iPad right now, and
yeah,
it's easy to pinch and zoom in and out. And a lot of you guys do that, just like Matunja did. And as soon as you do that, your brain has to reread the scale. And it's very easy to get things off, right? Like proportion is really locking yourself in, and seeing it's relativity, right? Proportions relationships. So yeah, so that's what happened. Carlos says it looks cute. Very cute Trinder model. His little head.
made him a teenage boy.
Yes, that's right.
So that's what I learned from the last iteration, So yeah, you have to constantly remind yourself is like, okay, keep this big picture in front of you so you don't lose the proportions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we will try to apply in this one. Right. Let's start. Mm, yeah, I have one layer. Yeah, I'll try to get this, man. This is one of my Trindra's like favorite poses. I have attempted this a lot in stream, but every time, obviously, the goal is different. Uh, but either way, so the first thing that I want to get is this angle break, in his pose. So this and this basically, right? I'm just really making sure that I'm getting that first, which is this. I'm just gonna block out that, okay, this leg would be something like here. Oops, I just switched to eraser. All right, then getting this leg. Okay, this is going into space. Okay, so I'm really focusing on this. Obviously, the negative space and things like that. So see, I got this. Okay, this and this like break in there. Now, yeah, I can get this arm out like this. And because the head is a little bit smaller, we try to like draw a big, I mean a decent size head in this one. So that's it. So that's the head. And the other arm, like he's wrapping around and like keeping it here. Okay. So I got the block out now. I'll try to get this as well. So this is like really, really important stuff. This S rhythm in his body, right? Uh I'm trying to like get some like more organic lines basically. All right, now let's see what. I try to grab this hand. He's like grabbing his other shoulder. There's his thumb right there. He's got his mustache. All right. So not focusing on the head too much. I'm just like caught up in that a little bit. I just really want to get this okay first. Every decision is basically a fight, that you're fighting for. It's like, oh, who wins now? So sometimes like good things win, sometimes bad. All right, trying to get this like rear end and really going on in there, going into the space. Let's try to get this. I'm just like really pushing that scapula. That's like really, really important. I'm just trying to grab that elbow in there. Okay, that's very cool. Uh, Maybe try to get this arm a little bit because it's like lacking a lot of information. So I'm gonna grab that, and I have about 2 minutes left. So let's see. So watching this space as well, right? This space here. All right, trying to make it a little bit smaller here. And then working like more on legs a little bit. All right, trying to get that. Trinda's got like really amazing calves. So try to grab that as well. Let me get some sculpting right there. This is going into the space, right? So it just makes sense that we can want to do that. Really matching his spine and the rear end, you know. And in the end, like we can give this hand like more gesture. Like that. About 30 seconds left. We're gonna get like more information in there. Right there, a bun. That's a uniqueness, by the way, you know. So you won't like find too many models with mustache and that heavy bun. So again, like making him look caricaturized. All right, and that's it.
Very cool.
So how much time is that?
A couple of minutes. I want to bring it back to me. I want to kind of close with a bunch of sort of topic points before we leave today.
Yeah, sure. So hope you enjoyed, guys.
Thank you, Mattesi. All right. So before we head out here, everyone, let's get back to the full screen. There we go. I wanted to look through this really quick here and get a sense of, you know, what did 5 minutes, what did 5 minutes accomplish, right? So here's all the stuff I did today. So 5 minutes, in 5 minutes, you can see, you should have a pretty completed drawing, right? You should be able to get all the shaping, the full silhouette down, get some structure in there. You might even get some little moments in the face in 5 minutes. You can get the gesture of hands and feet, right? So in 5 minutes, you can get quite a bit done here. What I should do is just list these out in my terrible handwriting. So I would say full, I'll try to slow down because I usually write too fast. Full silhouette, right? And that has force as well, right? And then we want to have form for each section of the body. You can almost think from joint to joint. So like hip to knee, right? What direction in space is that section of the leg going, right? Joint to joint. And then some anatomy. And then what you can really start putting your attention on is heads, hands, and feet, right? That there's some inkling, a little bit more than obviously all the other ones. You could see in all of mine, there's a little bit more of the heads, hands, and feet going on than usual, right? Than we did in the past. So you want to get a little more of that. So this is, I think, a very fair assessment of what, you know, what 5 minutes can get you, right? You know, if you're trying this yourself at home and you realize, you know, this is taking me 10 minutes or 7 minutes, that's fine. It's just practice, you know, you'll get there. But this is a very good benchmark, you know, 5 minute drawing, getting all of that down. You saw at least myself go through a couple of different methods of which to do it. I was drawing a little more directly at the beginning, a little more like Sanjay was doing, and then kind of switched it to another process, just because I really wanted you guys to understand the big picture, right? You know, and in the big picture, we drew light quickly, right? So we understood the whole body and then kind of started tightening it up a little bit more of a hierarchical approach and like a clay approach, right? It's like, I'm going to throw all the clay down really fast. And then after that, start tightening it up, right? So that's it. Next week, like I said, I don't have a solid answer yet on next week. We'll either do tens or we might do character design. I don't know if we'll do like Santa or an elf or something to go along with the holidays, right? So so be surprised, right? You'll see the post go up either Wednesday or Thursday as usual. Have a great week, everyone, and have a very safe weekend. Enjoy the end of your holiday shopping, and we will see you next Friday. All right. Thanks again, Matunjay. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
And take care. Bye-bye.